There is a city tonight that does not know what tomorrow will bring. Its streets are lit by oil lamps hung at doorways. Its fountains are still running, the way they have run for hundreds of years, fed by aqueducts that stretch for miles across the countryside. The smell of bread and wine and wood smoke drifts through the narrow alleys. Somewhere, someone is playing a flute. Low and slow, the notes drifting up into the warm evening air. This is Rome. And it is a night like almost any other night. The city has stood for more than 1,000 years. It has survived wars and plagues and famines and fires. It has been the center of the known world for so long that most people who live here cannot imagine it being anything else. They go about their evenings without alarm. They eat their meals. They talk with their neighbors. They put their children to bed. And yet, something is different tonight. Something that most people in the city cannot quite name, but some of them can feel. A heaviness in the air. A quietness that is not quite peaceful. Tonight, we are going to walk through that city. Slowly. Without hurry. We are going to move through its streets and look into its windows and sit for a while beside its fountains. We are going to feel what it was like to live in one of the greatest cities the world has ever known, on one of its last ordinary evenings. So settle in now. Let your body grow heavy and still. Let the sounds of your own world fade away. Now turn your phone screen face down. Follow me now to help the channel, and relax completely. Let Rome come to you, soft and warm and ancient, through the gathering dark. The city is larger than anything most people in the world at this time have ever seen. It spreads across 7 hills and down into the valleys between them. It follows the river, which winds through the middle of everything, dark and slow and wide. At its peak, more than 1 million people lived here. By this particular evening, the number is smaller. The city has been contracting for a while now, slowly and quietly, the way a fire contracts when it is no longer being fed. But it is still enormous. Still overwhelming, if you arrive here for the first time. The streets near the center are paved with flat stones, worn smooth by centuries of feet and wheels. The stones fit together tightly. They were laid by engineers who understood that a road is only good if it lasts. And these roads have lasted. Long after the men who built them are gone, the stones remain, solid and patient under the sandals of the people walking over them tonight. The insulae rise on either side of the streets. These are the apartment buildings of Rome, tall and narrow, built of brick and timber, sometimes 5 or 6 stories high. The people who live in the upper floors carry everything up the stairs. Water, food, firewood. They have no running water in their rooms. They collect it from the fountains in the street below. On the ground floors, the shops are still open in the early evening. A baker, his ovens cooling now, setting out the last loaves of the day on a wooden shelf. A wine cellar, mixing wine with water in a large clay jar. A cloth merchant, folding bolts of fabric and setting them inside for the night. The ground floor of an insula was the most desirable place to live. Easier to get to. Safer, if there was a fire. Cooler in summer. But also the most expensive. Most Romans lived somewhere in the middle floors. Not too high, not too low. Close enough to the street to hear the sounds of the city, far enough up to have a little air. Let us go inside one of these buildings for a moment. The staircase is narrow and dark, lit only by a small lamp at each landing. The smell is of cooking and clothes living, of many people sharing a space that was not built with luxury in mind. On the 3rd floor, a family is eating their evening meal. The room is not large. A table, a few stools, a shelf on the wall with a small clay figure of a household god in the corner. A brazier in the center, where a small fire warms a pot of something thick and fragrant. The meal is simple. A grain porridge with beans, flavored with a little olive oil and a spoonful of fish sauce, which Romans used the way others might use salt. Some bread from the baker downstairs, slightly stale now but still good when dipped in the oil. There is a cup of wine for the father, diluted with twice its volume of water, the way wine was always drunk in Rome. The children have water. The family eats without much talking. It has been a long day. The father is a craftsman, a maker of simple bronze fittings for furniture and doors. He works in a small workshop a few streets away, and he has been there since before sunrise. The mother has been managing the household. She went to the market in the morning, bargained for grain and oil and a small piece of salt fish. She fetched water twice from the fountain. She mended a piece of cloth that had torn. Their daughter, who is perhaps 12, helped with the water. She has been learning to spin wool, sitting by the window in the afternoon light, her fingers working the spindle slowly and carefully. Their son, a few years older, works with his father now. He swept the workshop floor, ran errands, watched his father work, and tried to learn. This is how most trades were passed on in Rome. Not through schools or books, but through watching and doing. The son stood beside the father and observed, day after day, until his hands knew what to do. After the meal, the father goes to the window and looks out at the street below. The evening is settling in. The sky above the rooftops has turned from orange to a deep, clear blue. The first stars are appearing. He can see the top of one of the hills from this window, and on it, the distant outline of a temple, its columns catching the last light. He has looked at that temple his whole life. He was born in this city. His father was born in this city. His grandfather came from somewhere further away, he is not sure exactly where, but his family has been Roman for 3 generations now. He looks at the temple for a while. Then he turns away from the window and sits down. The city outside is settling into its evening sounds. During the day, wheeled vehicles were not allowed in the streets of Rome. The noise and the congestion were too great. So the carts and wagons waited outside the city gates until nightfall. Now, as darkness comes, they begin to move. The sound of wooden wheels on stone fills the streets. The creak of axles. The voices of drivers calling to each other or to their animals. It is loud, in the way that Rome was always loud at night. People who lived here got used to it. They slept through the cart noise the way people near a river learn to sleep through the sound of water. But tonight, perhaps, the sound is slightly different. There are fewer carts than there used to be. Fewer goods coming in from the surrounding countryside. The supply lines that once fed this city from every corner of the empire have been thinning for a long time now. Not dramatically. Not all at once. Just slowly, quietly, the way so many things end. Let us move through the city now. Let us walk through the evening streets. We pass the baths. Even at this hour, there are people inside. The public baths of Rome were open for most of the day and into the evening, and they were one of the great pleasures of city life. The sound of water and voices drifts out through the doorway. Steam rises from the hot rooms inside. People came to the baths not just to wash, but to talk, to exercise, to meet friends, to hear news. The baths were the living room of the city. The place where people from different parts of Rome, different trades, different levels of wealth, all came together in the same warm water. We pass the Forum. It is mostly empty at this hour. During the day, it was the heart of the city, full of merchants and lawyers and politicians and ordinary people with business to conduct. Now it is quiet. The wide paved space, the colonnades of columns, the old temples, all of it still and shadowed. A few people cross through it on their way somewhere else, their footsteps echoing slightly off the stone. There is a fountain in the corner of the forum. It is still running, fed by one of the great aqueducts. The water falls in a thin clear stream into the stone basin below, making a soft, continuous sound. We stop for a moment beside the fountain. The water is cool and clean. It has come from a spring many miles away, carried through channels and pipes built by engineers who calculated slopes and pressures and distances with a precision that was, in its time, extraordinary. The water does not know any of this. It simply falls. In the residential districts, the pace of the evening is different. The wealthier families live in houses built around courtyards. These are called domus, and they are private, inward-facing places. The street-facing walls are mostly blank, with just a door and perhaps a small window. But step inside, and the world changes. A courtyard open to the sky. A shallow rectangular pool in the center, reflecting the fading light. Columns around the edges, supporting a covered walkway. Rooms opening off the walkway on all sides. In one of these rooms, an oil lamp burns on a low table. A man is reading, or trying to read. The lamp is not very bright. The scroll is worn from use. He is perhaps 50 years old. He has held various positions in the city government over the years. He has seen things change. He has watched the city shift, slowly and steadily, from what it was to what it is becoming. He is not afraid, exactly. He is something more difficult to name. A kind of heavy watchfulness. A sense that the world he has known all his life is very slowly, very quietly, rearranging itself. He rolls the scroll closed and sets it down. He sits for a moment in the quiet of the room. The lamp flame is steady. The pool in the courtyard reflects the night sky. He can hear, from somewhere deep in the house, the sound of his household settling for the night. The quiet voices of servants. The soft movements of people doing the last small tasks of the day. He should sleep. He knows this. But he sits for a while longer in the lamplight, thinking about nothing in particular, letting the quiet of the house hold him. In the poorer parts of the city, the night is noisier. The insulae are alive with sound at all hours. Families in their rooms, the walls thin enough to hear conversations, babies crying, someone arguing, someone laughing. On one of the upper floors of a building near the river, a woman is sitting by her open window because the room is too warm to sleep. She can see a slice of the sky from where she sits. A narrow strip of dark blue between the buildings, with a few stars in it. She is thinking about her sister, who lives in another city, far away. She has not heard from her in a long time. The roads have not been as safe as they used to be. Letters take longer to arrive, when they arrive at all. She thinks about the years when she was young, when the city felt more certain of itself. When the markets were full, and the roads were busy, and the sense of Roman order spread out in every direction, as far as anyone could imagine. It still exists, that order. Mostly. Here in the city, things are still running. The fountains still flow. The baths are still open. The bread is still baked. But she has heard things. Everyone has heard things. Stories from travelers and merchants about what is happening at the edges of the empire. about the pressures from outside, the difficulties within. She does not dwell on these things. It does not help to dwell on them. Life is here, in this room, on this street, in this city that she was born in and has always known. She closes her eyes and lets the warm night air move over her face. The sounds of the city drift up from below. The cart wheels. The fountain. Somewhere, a dog barking once and then going quiet. She breathes slowly, in and out. And eventually, the night takes her. Let us move now through the quieter streets, the ones away from the main thoroughfares. Here, the lamps at the doorways are burning low. Some have already gone out. The darkness between the buildings is soft and complete. A cat moves along the base of a wall, intent on something only it can sense. A night watchman makes his slow round through this part of the city. He carries a lamp and a staff. His job is to watch for fires, which were the great fear of the city, and to keep order in the dark hours. He knows this neighborhood well. He knows which doors tend to stay open late, which families have a new baby that keeps odd hours, which old man often sits at his window through the night. He walks slowly, not in a hurry. The city is quiet tonight. Quieter than usual, perhaps. He stops at the corner and looks out over the rooftops. In the distance, he can see the river, a dark shape between the buildings, the moonlight touching its surface here and there. He has lived in this city his whole life. He loves it, though he would not use that word. It is simply where he belongs. The streets, the fountains, the sounds, the smell of it in the summer evening. All of it is his. He turns and continues his round. His footsteps are slow and steady on the old stone. The city breathes around him, deep and slow, like something sleeping. In the temple on the hill, a small lamp burns through the night. It is tended by a priest who sleeps nearby, ready to wake if the lamp needs attention. The temple is very old. It was built when Rome was young, when the city was still finding its shape, before it became what it eventually became. The stone of the temple is worn and stained with age. The paint that once covered the columns and the carved figures has faded to almost nothing. But the structure itself is solid. The lamp burns quietly. The smoke rises in a thin thread toward the high ceiling. Outside the temple, the city spreads in every direction, its sounds softened by distance and night. The river moves through it all, dark and patient. The stars above are clear and bright. And in the houses and apartments and workshops and tabernae all across the city, people are sleeping. Most of them will wake tomorrow and do what they always do. They will go to the market and the workshop and the baths. They will eat their meals and talk with their neighbors and watch their children grow. They do not know that the world is changing. Or perhaps they know it in the way you know something when you do not want to think about it directly. A knowledge that lives in the body rather than the mind. But tonight, none of that matters. Tonight there is only the city, breathing in the dark. The fountains flowing. The lamps burning low. The river moving. The stars turning slowly above it all. Let the streets grow quieter now. Let the last lamps dim. The night watchman has finished his round and is resting now, his back against a warm wall, his lamp turned low. The cat has found what it was looking for and settled somewhere in the dark. The family in the insula has finished their meal and their children are sleeping, the wool blankets pulled close. The man in the courtyard house has finally set down his scroll and gone inside. The woman by the window has drifted into sleep, her head against the wall, the warm air still moving over her face. And the city. The great, old, patient city is resting too. Its stones still warm from the day's sun. Its fountains still running, soft and steady, as they have always run. The sound of water. Always the sound of water. Falling into the stone basin. Over and over. Soft and continuous. Like breathing. Like rest. And you, listener, you have walked through that city tonight. Through its evening streets and its lamplight and its quiet courtyards. You have heard the cartwheels and the fountain and the low sound of the flute. You have felt the warm stone under your feet and the night air on your face. And now the city is sleeping around you. And the stars are very bright. And the river is dark and patient. And there is nothing more to do tonight. Nothing more to think about. Only rest. Let your body be heavy. Let your breath slow. The fountain is still running. Soft and steady. The lamp is burning very low. Almost out. The city is breathing. And you are breathing with it. In. And out. In. And out. The stones are warm. The night is wide. And Rome is resting. All around you. Old and quiet. And still.